So, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rochelle Siboboro, Design Strategist at Idee, and we are very excited to be presenting at this year's Design Principles and Practice Conference. Today, we'll be taking you through our presentation entitled Design in Corporate Culture, a New System for the Future of Work. When this year's topic was released toward a Design a New Deal, we realized that we are living in a new era. The conventional wisdom has been that a workplace was essential to maintain productivity, develop a strong culture, and attract the best talent. But now, many people are getting used to working from home or from anywhere thanks to the adoption of digital collaborative tools. They do not want to give up their flexibility or go back to long commutes. So, what does this mean for the workplace and ultimately its culture? How can we reimagine this space not only for a post-COVID world, but the kind of places in which talented people would choose to spend their time? Is there now a new purpose or role for the workplace and bringing culture to life? We knew that to answer these questions, you cannot do them alone. We needed to look at culture in a holistic manner. We needed both right brain, pure creativity, and left brain, applied creativity, to properly explore, question, and realize this new era. Idee is a Toronto-based thinking company where we solve complex business problems through a proprietary methodology that harnesses connected intelligence. Red Studio is a full-service Toronto-based architecture and design firm that is redefining environmental design that is centered around sustainability, human health, and wellness. Today, we will present our insights and findings into how our work environments will need to evolve if businesses are to attract and retain talent in this new emerging era, including the role that culture will play in bridging the divide between space, people, and systems. Now I'll hand it off to Penelope Fridman, the president of Idee, who will take you through our thinking.
Thanks, Rochelle. So what is corporate culture? Before we can actually design culture, we need to understand what is it. Corporate culture has been defined as the shared values, attitudes, standards, and beliefs that characterize members of an organization and define its nature. A company's culture is rooted in an organization's goals, strategies, structure, and approaches to labor, customers, investors, and the greater community. And as such, it's considered an essential component in any business's ultimate success or failure. One corporate culture framework developed by Robert E. Quinn and Kim S. Cameron of the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor identified 4 types of organizational cultures. The first one, clan-oriented, family-like with a focus on mentoring, nurturing, and doing things together. Second, an autocracy culture, dynamic, entrepreneurial, with a focus on risk-taking, innovation, and doing things first. Third type, a market-oriented culture, which is results-oriented, with a focus on competition, achievement, and getting the job done. And finally, a hierarchy-oriented culture, which are structured, controlled, with a focus on efficiency, stability, and doing things right. But this type of framework takes a very siloed and analytical approach to defining culture. At Idee, we believe in a more holistic point of view when it comes to culture. The framework shown, our framework, illustrates a systems perspective where each side of the pentagram represents an archetypal pillar of an organization's success, with culture being one part of a system. If we were to describe each component like a human body, leadership would be the head, strategy the body, purpose the soul, creativity the mind, and culture the heart. When you look at an organization as an integrated, interdependent ecosystem, the importance of culture, the heart and the pulse of the organization becomes apparent. Culture is the driver and differentiator. As Mark Miller stated, the heart is a muscle, and you strengthen muscles by using them. The more I lead with my heart, the stronger it gets. And the more organizations lead with their culture, the stronger and more successful they will become. We define culture as the norms, behaviors, attitudes, and beliefs that define a collective way of being. And as part of an ecosystem, we wanted to identify the emotional culture and understand how can we leverage them to ensure that we are creating cultures where we thrive. So how do you create a great culture in workplace? And why is this important? Because if we create and nurture a great culture, we will create great workplaces. You cannot have one without the other. We use a unique proprietary method called the structural mapping process. This process allows us to uncover insight into mass behavior and societal preferences. It reveals to us the permission space and emotional drivers for any desired outcome. And we use this approach to identify the emotional drivers of culture and the role it plays in building great companies by conducting 2 structural mapping processes, or SMPs, with the following desired outcomes. Firstly, I choose to work in this space to determine what drives people to want to spend time in a workspace. And secondly, I attract and retain the best talent to identify what are the drivers to getting top talent, great people to want to be part of our company. Each SMP produced a map that depicts the direct paths to effectively and sustainably achieving these outcomes. And together, the 2 maps identify the emotional drivers to creating a culture and a workplace that people will choose. So let's take a look at the maps. The first map, I choose to work in this space, uncovers 3 core themes that are imperative to getting people to choose a place to work. Firstly, they must be well-designed, crafted, and thoughtful spaces. Secondly, we need to provide a warm and welcoming space where one can explore and grow safely and feel that sense of safety at all times. And then finally, we need to create workspaces that nurture positive and supportive people who encourage and challenge each other to be all that they can be. When we look at our second map, I attract and retain the best talent, this identifies that to attract and keep the best people, it is important to firstly provide what is required to enable people to be successful. We need to give them the tools, the knowledge, the processes in order to do this. The role of visionary leadership is also identified as a key component. Celebrating diversity and inclusion and recognize the strength this brings to our teams and our companies is a third key component that emerged. And finally, the need to behave and act at the highest ethical levels, both internally and externally. When you put these 2 maps together, you realize that this calls for a new approach to work. Traditionally, we viewed organizations a particular way. We can trace the basis for most workplace design back to the Industrial Revolution, the era of assembly line workers governed by a managerial class. Many of our work environments have not evolved beyond these industrial origins, even though we are clearly in the era of the knowledge worker, and where creative problem-solving skills now are most needed and most valued. Gone are the days when we blindly measured production numbers and worshiped mere efficiency. Talented people today want to be engaged in meaningful work and experience new levels of mastery. And to do this, they seek out organizations that bring out their best. When we view organizations as machines, we assume wrongly that people and processes and culture should be managed and structured to work efficiently together in a systematized, predictable, and mechanical fashion, a one-size-fits-all approach. But to thrive in our increasingly complex and uncertain world requires a different take. We need to view organizations as ecosystems, where we understand that they are interconnected, dynamic, and ever-changing systems that evolve and innovate as required in order to create lasting value. A holistic view with multiple approaches is now required. It's time to move from a mechanical view of the workplace, one that's built for efficiency, productivity, control, and compliance, to a biological view, designed for effectiveness, mastery, autonomy, and trust. Rather than being primarily structured based on organizational requirements, workplaces now must take into account human needs. As living organisms, they must behave holistically with a culture that enables people to be their best selves, individually and collectively. So how do you create this type of culture? As previously mentioned, we define culture as the norms, behaviors, attitudes, and beliefs that define a collective way of being. While each organization's culture is unique, they are all comprised of 3 themes, and we call these themes human being, how individuals think and behave inside a group, social trust, ensuring emotional safety between individuals, and finally, sense of community, that sense of belonging and mattering to a group. So let's explore these 3 themes a little further. Human being is our beliefs and behaviors, and it's increasingly clear to savvy employees today that talented employees come in all shapes and sizes, and we must know where to find and how to attract these unique and different types of people. And once they've joined the company, they must be allowed to be who they are. Organizations also need to be very conscious of their behaviors and be sure that they abide by a set of shared values. And these values and behaviors need to take an inside-out approach. They're embodied in the heart of the organization and radiated outside to the public. Let's look at social trust. Social trust is made up of integrity, reliability, and safety. There has to be a level of social capital accrued through honesty, transparency, and equality at both the personal and organizational level. A great culture is one that's built over time, nurtured and earned based on a deep sense of kindness and genuine concern for others. By consistently exemplifying and reinforcing the desired way of being, a great culture will flourish, grow, become recognized, and admired. And we must ensure a culture where people feel both safe to work within, what we call physical safety, and feel a sense of safety to take chances and try new things, emotional safety. Finally, let's look at sense of community. This last ingredient to building a great culture is imperative. We need to foster community, create a positive and affirming ambiance for all, and create an environment of collaboration, respect, support, and courage. Culture today has to bridge on-site, online, and off-site. By building relationships across the organization, a strong culture is able to extend to beyond the borders of the physical space, to other external partners, collaborators, and clients. A human-centered design approach to developing workspaces where community, collaboration, and creativity can flourish and thrive is key. We must design with people at the core, not productivity. And this will result in workspaces that are built for humans, not workers. So why is culture so important? As mentioned previously, culture is the pulse of an organization. It determines the beat, the flow, and rhythm. It doesn't just define the organization, it propels the people. As we've realized, at the core of getting people to choose a workplace is it being in a space where anything is possible and creativity abounds. And this requires the type of culture we've identified. Culture is the glue that holds together the other 4 archetypal pillars: leadership, purpose, creativity, and strategy, the drivers of success. A great culture is the foundation of a successful company. A great culture is now no longer a nice to have, it is a must have. Now here's Denise Santini, principal of Red Studio, to take us through what a workspace that supports this type of culture could look like.
Thank you, Penelope. We took the Humanized Collective's Toronto office and reimagined it to reflect their unique culture. Humanize is a collective of people working within 8 independent businesses. They are very collaborative businesses whose combined mission is to deliver long-lasting solutions for today's businesses. Penelope and Rochelle's group at Institut Idee forms part of the Humanized Collective. As an organization, they're focused on collaborative creativity, and the team members from the various businesses thrive off of each other to feed this creativity. Planned collaboration is important to the group, but sometimes the best stuff comes out of the serendipitous interaction, and this is where we began with our design concept. We started with the raw space, which is a brick and beam space in downtown Toronto with a partial level change. When we laid out the new space, we created a few different zones, starting with a public zone for the many visitors, guests, and clients that visit the space. We have an internal communal zone that really becomes the heart of the plan and captures the heart of the culture. And then we have a quiet focus zone where individuals are given a space to work creatively on their own in the zone. Each of these areas has been envisioned to be multifunctional and extremely flexible to allow the humanized team to reconfigure their space to suit their needs easily and frequently. The journey through the space begins with a welcome area that allows for a pause upon entry, a space to take a moment and shed the street and refocus with intent as you enter. The public space opens up with sculptural and artistic focal points into a highly flexible and reconfigurable space to accommodate many gatherings, mingling events, town hall events, traditional boardroom meetings, and the space even can accommodate team fitness activities. The space transforms through the use of folding panels and dramatic drapes, and of course, reconfigurable furniture. Turning to look deeper into the space, we developed a clear and direct circulation path. Modeled after a multi-sensorial linear park, this space leads into the heart of the space. Beginning from a dramatic sculptural nest that functions as a semi-enclosed meeting area, the linear heart leads to a comfortable, open collaboration zone that we consider the heart of the plan. It's a space where the team congregates, comes together, connects as a community, breaks bread, and shares ideas. It's a space where the team feels comfortable enough to literally put their ideas out there up on the wall. Along the linear path are supportive spaces for small group, private collaboration, and discussion. The artwork that defines the ceiling in the linear park was inspired from Humanize's own graphic works. The pink sky to us came to symbolize the limitless potential that occurs when people come together with a common goal. In fact, throughout the space, you'll see that we've incorporated a number of Humanize's inspirational artworks as a consistent message that supports their unique brand. The flip side of the communal heart of the plan is the quiet zone. It's a place to sort of turn your back and be outwardly focused with views to the city and surrounded by natural elements with the planting and the live walls. Here we see a space where individuals can pause, reflect, and enter their creative zone, a space for meditative thinking. The space is designed to encourage individually focused work, politely signaling to others that you're in a do not disturb space. The area for this plan, the plan for this area also integrates small rooms to allow for flexible use to really promote individual concentrated thinking. Just to conclude things a little, we just really wanted to express that there is no one-size-fits-all solution when designing for corporate culture. We share this example as it provides a reconsideration of the role of the workplace as a place to thrive, a place where people will want to return because they feel inspired, creative, supported, and mostly valued. We thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our conversation today, and we encourage you to reach out to us if you would like to connect and hear more about the work that we're doing. Thank you very much.